McClary, meteorologist Matt Bailu, and Ron Futrell with sports. Live, this is Channel 13 News at 5:30.
High winds whipping through the Las Vegas Valley turned a simple house fire into a late afternoon firestorm, destroying half a dozen homes on the city's far east side. Good evening, I'm Kyle Meenan.
And I'm Marianne McClary. Luckily, those homes were not yet occupied. They were in the final stages of construction on Los Feliz at the base of Sunrise Mountain. Angela Rodriguez is standing by live as firefighters continue their cleanup. Angela?
Kyle, Marianne, it has been confirmed that 4 homes have been destroyed in this blaze. It took about 40 firefighters to come out here to battle this. It started at about 3:30 this afternoon. As you can see behind me, fire officials have said that the fire has been completely put out except for a few hot spots. They did manage to save one 2-story home that has been a little bit scorched, but other than that, it's okay. These houses, again, were unoccupied. They had not yet even been painted. Supposedly, they were going to be ready to have people move into them in about 2 months. We do have pictures of the fire from earlier. The high winds were a big problem for fire officials. The winds were gusting like at about 45 miles per hour, as well as they also had some problems with fire hydrants. Fire chiefs have told me that they believe maybe someone was either working on the lines or that the fire hydrants were placed too far apart from each other, again causing them to have low pressure. Now, Bruce Gibbs is going to join us now. Bruce was working during the blaze. Bruce, you were at 7-Eleven, you saw the flames, and you actually came out and helped put the fire out.
Yeah, we saw flames, went over and grabbed our own fire hose, and came down and hooked up to a fire hydrant before the fire department. One of their trucks was here already, and we started fighting a fire between 2 homes, the one that's occupied.
That home that was occupied was just, what, maybe 10 feet away from the blaze?
Yeah, that's the way they build them. It's only 10 feet apart between some houses. That's it.
Thank you, Bruce, very much. Again, Kyle and Marianne, a possible problem that firefighters had was because of lack of pressure from the fire hydrants. We're going to have a full report at 11 o'clock to look into that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the fire then and possibly the cause of the blaze, which is still under investigation.
Anyone hurt fighting this fire, Angie?
As far as people being hurt, there were 2 firemen, minor injuries there. One of them from smoke inhalation. The other one apparently stepped on a nail. They were injured here at the scene and luckily didn't have to be transported.
All right, thanks, Angela.
In other news, closing arguments came today in the capital murder trial of Stephen Hommick, with the prosecution saying Hommick executed his alleged victims as if they were dogs. Hommick is accused of the 1985 slayings of oil heiress Bobby Jean Tipton, her maid Marie Bullock, and deliveryman James Myers. Prosecutor Brad Jerbick said the evidence in the case has pointed conclusively at Hommick as the killer.
That man profited from their deaths. That man tried to unload their jewelry later on, and that man is sitting in this courtroom at this time, and his name is Stephen Hommick. And that man is guilty of burglary, robbery with use of a deadly weapon, and 3 counts of first-degree murder.
Defense attorney William Smith has essentially conceded Hommick was a, quote, fence for stolen jewelry from the Tipton residence during those murders, but he says Hommick could not have been the killer because he was with friends at the time of the killings. The jury should begin deliberations in the case tonight.
Metro officials have released the name of the officer in Saturday's shooting death of a man who was allegedly assaulting a woman by stabbing her. 27-year-old David Plencher fired 3 shots, killing 37-year-old Steve Miller. Plencher's report says he found Miller on top of Robin Ayers, stabbing her with a screwdriver. He warned Miller to stop, and when he didn't, Plencher shot and killed him. Ayers survived the attack. Her jugular vein was nearly severed. She is stable and improving at UMC. On this blustery day in southern Nevada, there is a different wind blowing from the Midwest, one tainted with allegations of murder, extortion, and casino skimming. Reporter Luke Michaels takes a look at the Chicago mob, the new Las Vegas connection with an historical perspective.
This is Chicago, a city that has many different facets to offer. Culture, sports, nostalgia, most of all, organized crime.
In January of 1986, the city of Chicago was about to see a new mob boss rise to power. According to federal authorities, Joe Ferriola slipped into the position of controlling a criminal enterprise that stretched from Chicago to Las Vegas to Los Angeles. This taking place following the convictions of several top Chicago mob leaders linked to skimming Las Vegas casinos in the late 1970s and early 80s. These activities were orchestrated by this man. However, federal investigations now reveal that Anthony Spilotro was profiting himself from the ill-gotten casino money instead of sending it back to Chicago. Additionally, Spilotro did not fit the profile of a mob overseer. Instead of being low-key, Spilotro kept a high profile in the community and even ran a small-time burglary ring which became known as the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang. The FBI believes this kind of activity played a key role in Spilotro's demise. We traveled to Chicago recently and met up with Ray Shryock, a former Chicago FBI supervisor.
Use some of this money for personal investments. And any time you do that with, the mob's money, then you always have a problem.
In June of 1986, just 6 months after Ferriola rose to power, Spilotro, along with his younger brother Michael, were met with the ultimate mob discipline. Their badly beaten bodies were found in an Indiana cornfield, buried in a shallow grave. Bob Walsh of the Chicago FBI says the message behind the Spilotro killing is clear.
The message seems to be either that they suspect someone is cooperating with law enforcement, or that they suspect someone has stepped out of line, or someone is stealing. It's their way of maintaining discipline.
The FBI says one of the last orders of business carried out by the Ferriola regime was the killing of Spilotro. And although investigators are close to solving the case, they'll never get to the main man, since Ferriola died of heart problems earlier this year. In our next report, we'll show you who authorities believe is the new Chicago mob boss, and we'll introduce you to the man who is suspected of overseeing mob interests in Las Vegas. Luke Michaels, Channel 13 News.
Part 2 of Luke's report airs tonight at 11 o'clock with a murder-for-hire scheme that was never pulled off.
1 week ago, voters across Nevada voted for a mining tax increase, but already some big mines are saying they'll be paying less than the 5% mandated by that proposal. Testimony in Carson City today indicates a sliding scale on mining companies' net proceeds and a drop in the price of gold. What it all adds up to is the state probably will not raise the entire $52 million in mining tax revenue anticipated by the governor. Also in his budget, the actual shortfall in the budget could be the range of $4 to $5 million.
Former Reagan officials profited from their public service through a low-income housing deal here in Clark County. That is the report of one federal investigator checking on the low-income housing rehabilitation program. Federal investigators say developers for the Sierra Vista apartments may have been overpaid as much as $4.9 million. The head of the development firm, John Adams, was the #2 man at the Federal Housing Department before he made the deal. Local county officials say they questioned that transaction.
We raised questions about a number of things that were proposed. For instance, they were not supposed to remove all the appliances unless they really needed to be removed. There's certain kinds of work that are ineligible. We raised those questions at the very beginning.
No answers from HUD.
No answers from HUD.
Cottrell says his agency has had 200 units that needed to be rehabilitated frozen because of the Sierra Vista deal.
Well, the Teacher of the Year in Las Vegas talks with us when we come back.
Also, Dr. Dean Adele continues his special report on losing weight. Stay with us.
Even non-members save big at the Home Club. April 27th. A comparison of the Home Club's non-member prices with those at Ole's reveals big savings at the Home Club. Example, Ole's sells the Paramount electric blower for $79.99. That's $17 more than Home Club's non-member price. And Home Club members save even more. Yes, the list goes on and on because at the Home Club, you save on everything, every day.
The cast of Night Court goes how far to make you laugh?
The entire world will be pondering it for generations.
Would they resort to cheap theatrics?
Certainly! No!
Yes! Outrageous innuendo?
I can explain this whole thing.
That's right, and I'll vouch for everything he says.
Non-stop slapstick?
Boy, I gotta get some odor eaters.
Night Court. Is this much fun really legal?
Night Court, weeknights at 6 and 6:30.
So I said to the guy who installed my car stereo, make sure nothing goes wrong. He says, what could go wrong? What can go wrong? everything. That's what could go wrong.
Nothing will go wrong if you buy your car stereo at Circuit City. Circuit City promises great selection, expert installation, and guaranteed low prices.
I should have gone to Circuit City.
Circuit City, the intelligent choice.
From the very beginning, she's been there. She made the hurt go away, brightened the day. She made sure you had everything you needed. This year, make Mom's Day something extra, something special. Remember Mom. The Boulevard Mall. Shopping for Mom on a personal level.
The toughest thing for most people who lose weight on a diet is keeping that weight off, even in a medically supervised diet. In part 2 of Dr. Dean Adele's series, Keeping It Off, he reports the trick is people have to change the way they think about food.
Take a look at the most famous dieter in recent history, Oprah Winfrey. She took off lots of pounds and gave a lot of publicity to a type of diet that combines liquid nourishment with behavioral modification. She made it look easy, but it's not.
People think that that's the magic part, that that's what helps, that's the key to it. What they want is the liquid diet. And it's true, that's the piece of it that allows the weight loss. But all that does really is give them, I think, a head start on then grappling with all the behavioral issues and all the food choice issues and all the exercise issues.
A head start on a long and possibly never-ending road. There's nothing special about the liquid itself. Changing how you think about food, that's the difficult part, especially in most Western societies.
We use food for comfort. We have hot cocoa when we need to be cozied. We take our friends out for dinner to celebrate their birthday. So food at that point is not nutrients. It's not just calories because we need 400 calories to make it till breakfast. Food is a way of celebrating. Food is a way of comforting yourself or other people. The important historical role of chicken soup. That's partially nutrients, but it's also love.
Even with this medically supervised diet and the doctors, nurses, and other health professionals involved, permanent success for most is unachievable. Of those who start the program, half drop out in the first year. 2/3 of those remaining keep most of the weight off during the first 2 years of the program. And when you go out 5 years, the statistics get very dismal. But still, this may be the best program available for those very overweight people who are ready, willing, and able to work hard at another full-time and, for many, lifetime job, losing weight and keeping it off. I'm Dr. Dean Adele.
Tomorrow in part 3 of Keeping It Off, Dr. Adele tells us how to keep high-calorie foods from sneaking into low-calorie, health-conscious diets.
This is a special week in Nevada, Teacher Appreciation Week, and this is Teacher Appreciation Day. Now, teaching's not an easy job. What can be done to help the teachers better educate our school children? Sandy Bell asked many teachers that question today, including Chaparral High's John Snyder, who is Clark County's Teacher of the Year.
In a time of stories about teacher burnout, of their dissatisfaction with low salaries and what they feel is a lack of support from state legislatures and local school districts, John Snyder is a man who genuinely loves what he's doing. And it shows in the personal attention he tries to give to every student in his computer class.
But, I mean, you can have it say year 3 if they accept year. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he's big on praising his students.
Good. Perfect. You're doing good.
But he also sees ways his job can be made better.
I think if the legislators could realize that we can attract excellence with excellent salaries and excellent facilities, then maybe that would help.
At Rowe Elementary School, there's a bulletin board with pictures of many teachers when they were about the same age as the students they're teaching. This is Janelle DeCourt, first grader, and this is Janelle DeCourt, kindergarten teacher.
We would like to have our class size be of a size where we can give a lot of quality time to our children.
Diane Kaczynski says support from parents is invaluable.
I think that's very important. A lot of support from home. What the students come to school with their willingness, their ability to want to learn.
And Jeannie Allen says parents should know teachers genuinely care about their students.
And that's what's important to me, to educate them and to care about them. And I want them to love to come to school.
Teachers told us any positive change in education has got to come with the help of parents. They should know they're teachers, they're parents, and they've been school children themselves. Sandy Bell, Channel 13 News.